We have J.J. Abrams finally kind of shedding some light on why he came back to Episode 9. He spoke with Fast Company. A lot of like why, when he was asked to do it, he hesitated. His wife said, you got to do it, and she's usually right. And so, but he admits it was a daunting prospect and that they did indeed toss out the previous script from Trevorrow. He said to have no script and to have a release date and have it be essentially a 2-year window. When you're saying to yourself, you got 2 years from the decision to do it to release, and you have literally nothing. You don't have the story, you don't have the cast, you don't have the designers, the sets. There was a crew, and there were things that will be worked on for the version that preceded ours, but this was starting over.
Yeah. Well, let's start with that. Basically what he was saying, this is why, again, being yelled at for Jedi Council for the last 2 years when I say there was never a plan. Yeah. There was not a plan. It was, okay, director number 1, what's your story for your movie? Director number 2, what's your story? Yeah. Director number 3, what's your story? Okay, director number 3, we don't like your story. Director number 1, do you want to tell your story again or a new story? Sure. So now director number 1 is back. And that's what he just confirmed.
So you're saying you like The Last Jedi?
But he confirmed it, and he confirmed that it was, and then he goes into more comments about the Rian Johnson thing.
Yeah, so The Force Awakens then goes on to say another daunting challenge was picking up where Rian Johnson left off, and it was a completely unknown scenario. He said, I had some gut instincts about where the story would have gone, but without getting in the weeds on Episode 8, that was a story that Rian wrote and was telling based on 7 before we met. So he was taking the thing in another direction. So we also had to respond to Episode 8. So our movie was not just following what we had started, it was following what we had started and then had been advanced by somebody else.
Wait, why are you guys so pissed?
Because it just goes to show you that there wasn't a plan for 3 movies.
Yeah.
There was a plan they were going to release 3 movies. There wasn't a plan to make them all
exactly.
And what they also did, the plan, there was no plan to basically Rian Johnson wasn't held to complete what J.J. Abrams set up. Right. It was basically Kathleen Kennedy going, oh, we like your vision. What do you want to do with it? Sure, do that. Yep. What do you want to do? Sure, do that.
Instead of Kevin Feige being like, this is what we're doing.
Where we need to go.
He's already has a 5-year plan after Endgame.
Yeah. So we need you to execute this particular way. So then this is, again, J.J. Abrams. I don't want to do the I told you so stuff, but same thing. They had not talked. They're not. It's this whole thing where he came out and said, "Oh, I read it. I love what he's doing." It's the same thing. James Cameron, when James Cameron came out and said, "Oh, I love Genesis. It was amazing." He now is saying it in the most political way possible. Of he did his thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm connecting what I did to 7 because I kept saying this is pretty much a direct. This number 9 is going to be a direct sequel to 7, and all the fans, I keep saying that. You're just stupid. Why are you saying that? Because it makes sense. He's making a movie that he didn't. Number 8 was the way that it was. It was a movie, whether you like it or not. It was the movie that was set that they put into motion. You like that one, huh? So he's complete. So he's completing what he set up in 7.
I'm not.
What are you cracking up about?
Rarely, usually when you do the troll, you get real angry. But that when you were cracking, you're like,
it's just so stupid. It's like I said the same thing. What do you think it's the Emperor? It's not the Emperor. What do you think that? It's not the Emperor. I'm gonna say I don't know why you get to. Why do you think you know all this stuff, man? You don't know anything.
Oh my God.
Well, Ryan came out and said he would have no problem if JJ retconned raised parents. So that now everything's in play.
How great would if we have like a Black Mirror situation at Star Wars Celebration? I'm sorry, Rox.
That's okay.
If we have a Black Mirror situation at Star Wars Celebration, and everyone you go by has like a little hologram above their head that gives the screen name from YouTube that they've harassed you with about Last Jedi, and you're like, shame.
But it's just like, no. The thing is, you don't have to agree with what anyone is saying. Sure. But it's just like the way. Say, all right, well, yeah, exactly. It's like, so if someone says something along the lines of, I think that from what I'm seeing so far, when I said this a year ago, that I don't think that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson were on the same page for their stuff. Yeah. And going, okay, well, I don't really agree with what you're saying, Harlow. If I believe that it would, as opposed to, the ones that are just like, you don't know what you're talking about. How do you know that?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Yeah. Well, they know. They have a Twitter account.
Right.
So they have all there in front of them.
I'm just saying J.J. Abrams pretty much has confirmed. No, he didn't. You know, reading the comments of it.
Listen, for me, this is very telling. Without getting into the weeds on Episode 8, I found that the most telling thing in the quote.
He's telling you that
I don't want to go there.
He's telling you that what was set up at 8 was not where he would have went with it,
right?
And it's not what he was going to do, and it's not what was planned. They did not coordinate. These two stories did not coordinate. It was not
That's
what he
the
set
problem
up.
with not either having one. I mean, one of three is how I see it. One, Kathleen Kennedy didn't get all three directors or two directors and be like, this is what the story's going to look like.
100%. Yeah.
Or two, the problem of having three separate directors for three different movies. Like, if you were going to do the trilogy, JJ, you're on for all three.
Now,
That's your thing.
You can see, but the thing is, you look at more like Marvel.
Sure.
But Marvel has been able to do it to where it's like you're connecting universes, and even the first Avengers.
That's why I go back to refer to one. Is
Right.
Kathleen Kennedy and the whole people, the whole team should have been like, this is where the story
where it
is
needs to go.
going.
Yeah.
These are our directors to do it.
Well, it's just why I go back to the fact that I think she's an amazing producer. I think
She is.
when you need her to execute a movie and find that she found the talent to make money, make the movies, but she just, and I don't expect everyone to love Star Wars. She respects the fan base, so she respects the product, but she's not a hardcore fan, like the way Feige is with MCU stuff too. Right. But you have to have a narrative. From 7's going to start here, and we need it to end here. If it's J.J. Abrams that comes in and sets it up, all right, J.J. set it up. We need to end here. So Ryan and Colin figure out how to make 8 weave into 7, and then Colin try to figure out how to make 9 weave into 8 and 7.
Yeah,
that was never the plan. And JJ just confirmed that.
I was saying this on
Roxy's got. Go ahead, Roxy.
Oh my God, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
Going back to Roka's point about retcon, I don't feel like you necessarily even call it retcon, because sometimes people tell one story and then something else is true. So both things.
Yeah, I don't
could
think it's
be true.
a retcon. Yeah.
She could be saying this is what I thought my parents were, and then that could change.
Right.
As in
I agree.
life happens all the time. And then
Revisionist history.
I completely agree with everything you guys are saying. My personal issue is that I much prefer Rian Johnson's vision. So that's my personal. My personal.
You liked 8 better than 7. Yeah, that's
infinitely.
Yeah, there you go.
And so going into this, I don't want to hear that we're going back. Again, I know I just opened Pandora's box, and if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. I get why. But I would rather take 8 and make 9 than take 7 and make 9.
And that's complete. And that's your prerogative. And that's going to be a lot of people's opinion. But we can't. But we all can't deny that from these comments. The comments say that 7 was mine, 8 was his, 9 is mine, connecting to 7.
Yeah, that's definitely what it's saying.
Yes.
I just wish it wasn't.
Yeah, but that's.
You can like these movies, whether it's Force Awakens more than Last Jedi or Last Jedi and vice versa. But you can look at the behind the scenes stuff. Everything is informing me in this. Like losing Lord and Miller, losing Colin Trevorrow, there are things that have been changing. And we talked about this on Rule of Two yesterday. Somebody comes at me hard and they're like, no, that's bullshit because look at the original Star Wars trilogy, 3 different directors. I'm like, George Lucas was so heavily involved.
He pretty much directed Jedi too.
Thing.
Yeah, he directed Jedi.
He was there with
the
Kirshner.
only one for Empire was the one. That was the only one, and he didn't like a lot of the stuff that was done because he was offset for a lot because he was dealing with other things.
He was building ILM.
There was a lot. Right.
He still hired his teacher.
His teacher.
Right.
He hired his teacher to do the vision.
Right.
But Aaron Kirshner made a lot of that directing side his own, very similar to what they're trying to do. But there was a narrative, though. They were following George Lucas's story.
Exactly.
You're saying George Lucas
through.
didn't like Empire, some of the decisions they were making?
Yeah. If you read again How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, it is Chris Taylor's book, and anytime I have a chance to rave about it, you would actually love it. You would love it. It is such a good, intricate way. And I want to read his follow-up because if he ever does one,
he should.
The stuff that's going with the new era. But it is brilliant, and it tells you all about that stuff. And yes, you're right, Riley, because he was very involved.
He was very involved.
And so just because you have 3 different directors doesn't mean it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It means
you still have a through line,
exactly,
and everybody can sit at dinner.
Yeah,
drink.
and then the argument will then come. They didn't know where they were going with the original Star Wars. They knew enough. They knew a lot because the first movie came out. He had ideas of where he was going. Now George Lucas will tell you that he had an idea for the original trilogy, and he didn't. He didn't even know when Episode 4 came out. He didn't know that Darth Vader was Luke's father. He didn't know any of that stuff.
But he had the broad strokes.
He had broad strokes, but then they started kind of piecing it together, and they knew once 4. I keep saying 1. 4 was such a big hit. They knew let's plan this thing out to be a trilogy.
No, and he swung for the fences too because he completely financed Empire Strikes Back, and then to go with that story, because if Empire doesn't work, there's no Return of the Jedi.
Right.
There's that thing dies.
There's no Star Wars period.
There's no Star Wars period. I mean, especially the Yoda puppet. If that thing doesn't work, then we have a whole different situation.
It's true. So anyway, this is why I think, and I've never thought of this term as an ugly term. Some people do, and they say fan service, right? And I think sometimes fan service, when it's
Too
done.
many cooks.
Yeah, but sometimes when fan service is done, it's just like, oh, they're just trying to please everybody too. I think sometimes fan service, like last season of Game of Thrones, I know book lovers don't love it. I loved it. It was one of my favorite seasons. Loved it. I think there's going to be there's going to be a lot of fan service in this movie, and good fan service. And I think that's why one of the main reasons I think Palpatine's coming back. That's why I think there's going to be a lot more lightsabers. That's why I think there's going to be stuff that and he'll never say this, but you guarantee you're a director coming onto your next movie off of a sequel that is very divisive, made a lot of money, but divisive between the fans. You would look at the criticisms, the main criticisms, and there are people who are just screaming out into the void. You ignore that, but the main criticisms that keep coming back up that you wonder maybe you loved, right? But maybe a lot of the other Star Wars fans didn't like it. Why not switch stuff up if you can? You're not going to bring Luke back. You can't bring. I mean, you bring him back as a Force ghost, but you can't resurrect him. That you can't do because that's really then you're really showing your cards.
You're really screwing with the mythology here.
That you can't do.
That would be wild.
Yeah, he won't do that. But you can do stuff to where what you just said with like race parentage. That you can do.
Yeah.
Because she mentioned it. Maybe Kylo was lying to her. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe going
that works
back
in the villain kind of arena where
if
a villain
a cult cut thing.
Maybe even the fact that we were talking about yesterday. Maybe she was given to those people, the junk traders, and she thought they were her parents, and then Kylo thought they were her parents.
Or he's protecting her for some reason, or he's trying to steer her down a different path. It's not retcon if you bring it into the story.
If it makes sense.
Yeah.
Correct. And I think that there's ways to do that. I think JJ will maybe him going, oh, I had a clear-cut thing of what I wanted to do. That's his bad for leaving, though.
Yes, exactly. Because I was going to say, why doesn't he sit down and go, this is where I want it to go?
I want to take the trilogy. Give me all three.
So
like
is he like,
up top.
does he do Force Awakens and he's like, have fun, and he's out? That's what it feels like.
That's what he's always done, though. Yeah. He's Star Trek, Mission Impossible. He's done one, then he's out, right? But now he wants to come. Now he's coming back to fix up maybe and. Maybe he didn't like a lot. Maybe he didn't like 8 at all. Maybe he hated 8, right? And then maybe that was one of the reasons when they said, "Do you want to come back?" And then he's like, all right, because Colin Trevorrow stuff was just not working behind the scenes.
Even if he didn't hate 8, it probably wasn't what he was picturing. And so he probably looked at it like, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Even if he's not hating it, it's still like, I started something else that's not my vision.
And maybe he realized it's his oof.
It's ironic that he's doing it again because remember, you could argue the prequels, same thing, divisive. Some people liked them, some people didn't.
Right.
JJ had to come in and bring people back to Star Wars.
And he's got to do it again.
He's got to do it again here on the heels of Rian Johnson. It's very interesting.
It's a good point because like you said, there are people who love both prequels and love 8. We have 2 of them in the room right now. And that's exactly right.
What is the majority? I'm just curious.
I mean, it's tough because I think when
it's
you
very split.
I don't know how. See, that's the thing, though. I don't know.
I think it's 60-40.
I don't know how split it is, and I'll tell you why. And I'm coming from someone who's not a big fan of the movie, right? Star Wars fans, like if you're asking as far as hardcore Star Wars fans go, then I would say it's split. Yes. When you talk about overall opinions, I would say it leans heavily into more people liking it than disliking it. The casual fan, because for example, like I always use like my wife or my dad as examples, they're not tying into it. Like my brother is a hardcore Star Wars fan and he hates it, right? Now, but my dad and my wife, they love it because they're not saying, oh, well, Luke wouldn't have done that. And this wouldn't have happened. And
That's why I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Why are they telling jokes? Why is this? They don't know the rules.
That's not my Luke.
So the hardcore Star Wars fan either finds like Ken and you guys finds like the stuff that you do feel is like Star Wars. To me, it doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It just there's a lot of stuff inside that doesn't feel like it. And so for me, I'm not a big fan of it. So I think it's split on hardcore fans.
The more you watch it, the more you like it, or less you like it?
Less. I just watched it again with my daughter the other day, and I don't mind the beginning.
How'd she feel?
She liked it. She liked it a lot. Yeah, and she's 7. You know.
I wish we would have thought about this earlier. Have you ever seen those like memes out there where there's a guy at a desk that says like, "The Earth is flat, prove me wrong," and he's sitting at a table? I wish each day of Star Wars Celebration we would have picked a new topic and me sitting at a desk, right? And it's just like Episode 8 is the best Star Wars, prove me wrong,
right?
Like tell me why it's not or something, and just seeing what kind of footage we could get from people sitting down to talk to me.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean,
could be pretty damn fun.
It could be fun. Yeah, I mean, you should. But to answer your question as far as why I watched some of the stuff, the jokes bother me up top, like the Marvel jokes, which I like in Marvel. I don't really like them in Star Wars. The stuff with right up top with that Hux and
all of
Poe
that.
telling the
How could you be? How can you feel Hux is any kind of powerful guy?
He's
if
not.
he can be tricked that easily. How does he even rise to that rank to lead this whole freaking? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but the whole that opening scene I really like a lot, though. You know, when it comes to the actual bombings and
it's cool.
all of that is cool. And then once you get it, like I thought he completely fumbled Finn, because Finn had this whole arc that he ended with in episode 7, and then he's right back to where he started with in episode 7. He was the same exact guy he was in the beginning of 7 after he's gone through all of this stuff, and the stuff Rose and Canto Bight. I hate it. I hate it.
It's interesting because I asked you if you like it less or more, because I find that the people that like it more and more every single time, and the people who don't like it less and less every single time.
Yeah. It's interesting. I like it more and more as I watch it, but I can also see the Canto Bight stuff in Finn, to your point. Yeah. I'm sitting there going, it's not working.
Yeah. Oh, it's not a flawless film.
No,
it's not flawless.
Because especially the Luke's. No, I think that the people who really like it and start to like it more, you really accept the Luke stuff.
Yeah.
If you're a hardcore Star Wars fan and you really are against the Luke stuff, then you like it less and less, and that's where I am, because I really wish, because it was funny. The first time I saw the movie, I was kind of confused and had to think about it. Second time I saw it, I wound up liking it a lot. And then I would watch it more and start to analyze it and look at it more and more and more. And then the stuff with Luke, I can't stand the stuff with Luke. I hate what they did with Luke.
Is that your biggest problem with the film?
I think so. Yeah, I can't stand what they did with Luke. I think that I wanted to see, and it says, well, you may have wanted to see that, but that's not what you got, and it's the truth.
Facts.
And it's the truth. But I wanted to see that. There was a rumored scene going on with Luke to where he and Rey were fighting against the Knights of Ren in Octu, and there's this big lightsaber fight. I was like, how powerful is Luke now? Let me see that. And I never got that. I got what I got more in like the Battlefront.
I would have loved more powerful Luke.
I wanted to see him like what he knew. Now I have to learn about it in novels or video games. I'm like, I never got to see that.
Yeah. The biggest mistake they ever made was not having the three of them in a scene together. Like, why would you make that stupid decision to not have the three characters that have tied us over and kept us going?
At least once.
At least once.
Yeah, my argument against that.
Even the Luke Leia scene isn't real because Luke's a freaking apparition.
Right.
He's not actually physically there for her. So it's just like those kinds of things that just
and that's
really big
Mark
mistakes.
Hamill had a big problem with
You loved the movie, Roka?
I didn't. I love everything after the first 45 minutes is fucking great. The first 45 minutes are terrible. After that, it's fucking great.